Greetings everybody, it's Emily from Pages and Ink, and today I will be doing my book talk on Everland by Wendy Spinelli, something like that. This book, let me tell you a little bit about it first, is, I believe, her debut... Yes, her debut novel, which is a steampunk retelling of Peter Pan, which when I got it in my owl crate, I was so excited to read it that as soon as I was done reading the series that I read it. Like, it was the next book. And this was even with the fact that I had just gotten the Crowns game. So, I mean, that's pretty big for me, because I was really excited for the Crowns game. I love this cover, too. Like, it says, "To die will be an awfully big adventure." And it's shiny. Anyway, okay, so in this book, it follows, or it takes place in like a dystopia, post-apocalyptic-ish kind of thing, London, that now goes by Everland, for the most part. And in Everland, there are a bunch of mechanical creatures crawling around, led by an army of guys, or men, called Marauders, who come from Germany, where the Queen of Germany is trying to take over pretty much the world, but I guess she's starting with Europe. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of Peter Pan 2, Return to Neverland with Jane, because it takes place, I believe, about World War II. So this kind of reminds me of that, only instead of like Hitler trying to take over Europe, it's more of a queen. And there's also this disease that is it started with the really little ones, like infants and babies and like toddlers and adults, and kind of is working its way to the kids. And it follows the main character Gwen and her sister Joanna and her little brother Mikey as they're surviving in this London. And Gwen is also kind of reminds me of Jane. She's kind of like the big sister figure who is trying to tell her siblings that they need to grow up to be, not Mikey, but Joanna, to be adults, to be strong, and, you know, they don't have time for little kid stuff and little kid whims because they have to survive in this post-apocalyptic world. Whereas, kind of like in Peter Pan 2, I'm gonna put the book down, tired of holding it, Jane is kind of like that to her brother Mikey, I believe. No. Oh, what's his name? Can't remember her brother's name, but Jane kind of goes off on her little brother and kind of tells him he needs to grow up and stop telling fairy tales because fairy tales aren't real. And, you know, so Gwen is a lot like Jane in that respect, as well as she's kind of like the provider in a way. Like at the beginning of Peter Pan 2, Jane is out in the streets and she comes back with 2 pairs of socks as her brother's birthday present. Daniel's her brother's name. So she brings him back a pair of socks that are mismatched for his birthday. And he's just kind of like, but then her mother, who is Wendy, takes the socks and makes puppets. But anyway, that's the movie, that's not the book. So Gwen goes out to try to find some food because all they have left at this point is really just like a bag of rice, I believe. And while she's gone, her sister Joanna gets kidnapped by the Marauders, who are pretty much sky pirates in a way, but they kind of spend a lot of time on the ground because they're not always up in their big skyship blimpy thing, which is led by Captain Hook, or Hans Otto. Let me see if it's here. It's like Hans Otto Oswald Kretschmer, who is the captain of the Marauders and is also the Queen's son. So, at the beginning of this book, I was picturing kind of like an adult Hook, but a lot of the times it kind of repeats the fact that most of the adults are dead. There's no adults, so Hook and a bunch of the Marauders are actually like older teens, so I want to say that Hook is kind of like 17-ish, which is a really weird picture to try to put in my brain. But he seems like a pretty big badass because he doesn't have a hook yet. But he's got like an eye patch because his mother kind of like carved out his eye, and he's like this very stern guy. But it kind of seems to go back and forth between him being this stern bad guy and this guy who's just he feels so guilty for the destruction that's come to London and the fact that his actions released the disease that's pretty much killing off everybody. And then there's also Peter, who goes by Pete, and he's the leader of the Lost Boys. The Lost Boys are a group that live underneath Everland. They live down underground, and they've built this underground steampunk city, which I really wish we had seen more of, because I think that would have been awesome to kind of explore a little more. And there's different, like, kid geniuses trying to help them out. You know, there's engineers, or an engineer, and a doctor, and it's just kind of cool, you know, because there are kids that are smart enough like that, and it's interesting that they were able to have that kind of, those kind of characters in their town, city thing. So the plot of the book is Peter meets Gwen while she's kind of hiding from marauders while out trying to find food and stuff, and follows her back to her house with this girl named Bella, who has awesome steampunk wings like this. It's so cool, and she has this, it's actual gold dust, like they took gold bricks and like grated it so it was a very thin gold powder, and I was like, that's so cool, because I think they were like too light to melt or something like that. But it was awesome. Anyway, so they meet, and she decides that she wants to go and try to save Joanna on her own, but Pete's like, no, you're not going to be able to do that, you're going to need our help. So he has her and Mikey join the Lost Boys, or the Lost Kids, because Bella's a Lost Kid too, but she's the only girl. Turns out that the disease wipes out girls faster than it wipes out guys. So, she's kind of like a rarity to the Lost Kids. And, so they take Gwen back to the Lost City, and from there they go and kind of assemble a team and then go after Hook and Joanna. There's a bunch of other characters that go with them. Some of them don't make it, which I thought was actually pretty interesting, because, you know, the only characters that I have seen die in a Peter Pan retelling are technically Hook, because in the movie Hook, he gets swallowed by a giant crocodile statue, which is weird, or not. It's like a hollowed out giant alligator that has a clock in its mouth, and it like falls and it apparently eats him because he's just gone. Oh, and then the Peter Pan remake from like 2003 or something, Hook gets swallowed by the crocodile. But other than Hook, in the movie Hook with Robin Williams, Rufio, who kind of takes Peter's place while Peter goes away and grows up, gets killed at one point. So I thought it was interesting because you don't see a whole lot of death in Disney movies, and the ones that you do see, it's only for a little bit, and it's usually like parents. So, and I know this isn't Disney, it's just a retelling of a fairy tale that Disney made into a movie, but I like to make those kinds of comparisons. So that is, I'm really bad at organizing my thoughts if you guys don't know me by now. So I'm going to go and open my Goodreads review to see if there's anything that I've missed that I can go over. I thought it was a very cute story, but it was not really what I was expecting it to be. That's not really a bad thing. It just wasn't, you know, as fabulous as I had thought, but it was still pretty good, and I did really enjoy it. It was definitely really cute. There are a couple things I wish I could have seen more of, especially the steampunk gadget side of it, because I feel like we didn't really see a whole lot besides like Bella's wings, which was cool, but you couldn't really, you know, you didn't really get to experience steampunk all that much when it came to like the gadgets. I really thought that the relationship between Pete and Gwen, because there is a relationship there, it's even in the summary, so you know it's there, and it's also, you know, retelling, and Peter kind of has a thing for Wendy, you can totally tell throughout the whole thing. But I feel like their relationship is just kind of one of those relationships where they meet and then they slowly not really even slowly, it's just kind of like they meet and then at some point they're like, you're the most important thing to me, and I'm like, you just met. Like, you barely know anything, although they do kind of know a little bit about each other, especially because Doc tells Gwen about his sister who ends up getting killed by the disease. It was cute. Definitely probably needed some work to make it kind of longer. And the pacing was so quick. It was like they were there, then they were there, then they were there, and then the book ended. So it was just kind of like, it went really quick. I really like how the two alligators that Hook has that he releases into the sewers, their names are Tick and Talk. So, you know, like the clock and the alligators Tick and Talk. I thought that was really creative or really kind of cute. Especially because towards the end of the book, Hook does lose his hand. You know, he's probably getting a hook put on it because this book does have a sequel, I believe. I think so. Pretty sure. But anyway, pretty sure he's gonna end up with a hook on his hand, but the alligators end up eating it, so that'll be interesting to see how that goes. I really like how strong and bold Gwen was. She was afraid, but she was trying to protect her family and eventually even the lost kids. And she's like, I need to be strong. And she made a move that not a lot of people probably would have made. They probably would have froze really fast. And she was able to kind of go with it. And she has to kind of deal with the repercussions of what that means. But I think she's a really well-written character beyond her relationship with Peter. Yeah, I already said that one. Okay, sorry, I'm reading my thing. I really hope to see Wendy Spinelli grow in her writing because this was good and it definitely could get better. So I really hope that she does write more books and kind of gets more on it. I'm really excited to see because I believe they're going to like Newfoundland or something along those lines. It's like, I think it's a world that or a country that she kind of made up, but it's like based on something real. I'm really interested to see how that looks, especially because it's like a steampunk world, so maybe we'll see more gadgets. I don't know. I'm kind of excited about it. Yeah. That is all I really got for this one. I have not read very many Peter Pan retellings. The only other Peter Pan retelling I think that I have read is Tiger Lily, which I have a review on, so if you want to check it out, I'll put a link down below. So what retellings have you read? I've heard one that's coming out soon, I believe, is called Never Never. I heard that one's pretty good, so I'm kind of interested in reading that one, but I don't know. Have you guys read Tiger Lily? Did you read Everland? What did you think? Let me know down below. Let's have conversation like I always ask. I hope you guys have a great day. I have one more video to post, and that's my book talk for the Crowns game. But thank you so much for watching. As always, you guys are fantastic, even though you don't talk to me. But I always appreciate when you guys take your time out of the day to watch my videos. I love you guys so much. I will see you guys next time. Happy reading!